Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one carrying quiet storms in your soul and dreaming louder than the world ever gave you permission to. This is for you. There comes a moment when you stop explaining, stop waiting, stop asking, and you just move. You cross the line they warned you about. You break the pattern they begged you to stay inside. And suddenly, they're watching you like you become something dangerous because you have. Not dangerous in the way they fear harm, but dangerous in the way that shakes comfort, threatens silence, and calls out every lie they told themselves about staying safe. They whisper, what did they become? What have they done? But they don't get it. This isn't destruction, it's your rebirth. This is what it looks like when someone finally refuses to shrink. You didn't lose control, you took it back. You didn't fall apart. You broke open and let the real you crawl out of the ruins, raw, loud, and unshakably alive. This is the nightmare they never saw coming. The one where you stop being afraid of who you could be and start becoming it. Let's go. There's a strange shift that happens the moment you choose to rise. Not just talk about it, but actually start becoming who you're meant to be. Suddenly, the people around you grow quiet. The air changes. The energy sharpens. And it's not because you've done something wrong, it's because you've done something they didn't believe was possible. You moved while they stood still. You believed while they doubted. You committed while they made excuses. And now your motion exposes your discipline calls out their delay. Your hunger screams in the silence of their comfort zones. And that right there is why they fear you. Your growth shines like a flashlight through their shadows. It burns, it blinds, it bothers them in places they don't want to admit exist. You're not just chasing a dream, you're proving it can be done. And every step you take reminds them that they could have done more too. It hurts their ego, not because you attacked it, but because you outgrew it. You are becoming a living reminder that settling is a choice, not a sentence. In the sentence. In that realization, that's terrifying to people who built their identity around limit. So they distance themselves. They label you as obsessed, too intense, too focused, but deep down they know the truth. You're the version of themselves they never dared to unlock. You are no longer relatable to the ones who chose silence over effort, comfort over fire, excuses over evolution. In that separation, that's your sign you're on the right path. Because the higher you rise, the fewer people can breathe at your altitude. Not everyone is meant to come with you, and that's okay. Let them stay where it's safe while you chase what's sacred. You didn't come here to be accepted. You came here to ignite, and the ones who can't handle the heat of your rise will always try to pull you back into their cold world of what ifs. Don't go. Don't look back. Don't apologize for the fire you carry. Burn brighter. Move louder. Rise unapologetic, because your story isn't here to make others comfortable. It's here to awaken the ones who've been waiting for permission to rise too. And when they see you, when they feel your roar, they'll realize the nightmare wasn't you, it was the fear of staying the same. You were never born to blend in. You were never meant to whisper your worth into a world that forgot how to listen. You were created to shatter silence with purpose. To shake the ground with presence, to wake the sleeping with your grind. The moment you stopped playing small, when you chose discipline over distraction, focus over comfort, fire over fear, something changed, not just in you, but in the world around you. Because mediocrity felt it, it trembled, it panicked. It whispered, don't go too far. But you went anyway. You stopped making excuses and started making noise. You became the alarm clock that comfort zones hate. The storm that average minds can't handle. You didn't come to fit into their rules, you came to rewrite them. Every early morning you rise before the sun. Every lonely rep you push when no one's watching. Every moment you choose the path of most resistance, you become a living nightmare to the world that begged you to stay normal. Because normal is safe, nigh, and safe never built legend. You are no longer a passenger in life. You're driving the whole damn thing with your foot on the gas and your eyes locked on greatness. You don't fear the crash. You fear the stall. You're not here to coast, you're here to curse. The moment you committed, the moment you said I won't stop for anything, that's when mediocrity knew it had lost you for good. Because you're not chasing comfort, you're chasing beast mode. You're not here to live soft. You're here to move mountains. People who are still hiding from their potential won't understand you. They'll question your intensity. They'll call it too much. But what they really mean is, I'm scared of what you're becoming. And that's the truth. Because you are becoming the death of excuses. The fear of average. The voice that silence can't kill. And that kind of energy. That kind of wild, untamed hunger. It makes mediocrity run. You are the nightmare of everything small-minded, because you prove that growth is possible when no one claps. You prove that greatness is born in the trenches, not the spotlight. You are what happens when fire refuses to die in the rain. And that's what scares them most. You are no longer bound by the cage of just enough. You're bursting out of it. Teeth bared, heart pounding, screaming, I was made for more. And every second you keep going, you remind the world, this is what relentless looks like. Not perfect, not easy, but undeniable. So keep going. Keep grinding. Keep becoming the nightmare, not to harm, not to destroy, but to wake people up to the reality that being average is the only real horror. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're different now, like it's something dark, something dangerous. But what they don't see, what they can't see, is that this version of you was always buried beneath the noise, waiting to be unleashed. You're not becoming a monster to destroy. You're becoming one to defend what matters, to protect your purpose, to fight for the life you refuse to lose. You no longer flinch when it gets hard. You no longer fold just because the room grows cold. You don't wait for motivation. You move in its absence. And that movement, that savage focus, that relentless pursuit, it scares the ones who stayed still too long, because you no longer look like someone who needs approval. You look like someone who woke up from the dream of fitting in and decided to live instead. You are sharp now, disciplined, carved out by pain, polished by pressure, fueled by the fire that wouldn't go out even when the world tried to bury it. You are the monster that chose the path alone, not because you wanted to be lonely, but because you refuse to be ordinary. There's power in that silence, in the nights you don't complain, in the mornings you rise without applause. There's something terrifyingly beautiful about someone who never quits, not out of pride, but out of purpose. And that's who you are becoming. The old you, gone. The soft voice that asked for permission, gone. Now you roar in your own direction. And the echoes are not empty. They're full of everything you had to break through to get here. People see the change, but they never see the chaos that came before it. They don't see the war you fought behind your eyes, the fears you faced in the mirror. The case of the nights you almost gave up and the moment you whispered one more try. That's what made you this, not ego, not arrogance, evolution. You're not becoming cruel. You're becoming clear. And sometimes clarity looks like distance. Sometimes growth feels like war. But in that fire you didn't burn, you forged. Now you carry that heat everywhere you go. You don't speak loud to prove your strength. Your silence is enough. Your presence is it all. And people will misunderstand it. They always do. They call monsters what they cannot label. They fear what they cannot predict. But don't shrink for them. Don't soften to soothe them, because the truth is you're not their monster, you're your own masterpiece. This transformation isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming what was always yours. Your power, your worth, your voice. So keep rising, keep building, keep becoming, because the monster they see, that's just your real self finally standing up straight. Pain is not your enemy. It's your signal, your turning point, your invitation to rise through the fire and become something no one saw coming. You weren't meant to avoid pain, you were meant to transform through it. And that's exactly what you're doing now. Every tear, every scar, every moment that felt like the end. It wasn't death, it was rebirth. The shattering of who you thought you had to be, to reveal the strength you never knew you had. Pain is the furnace where your greatness gets forged. It burns away your excuses, melts down your fears, and leaves behind only what's pure, unshakable, and ready to fight. The world tells you pain is something to run from, something to numb. But you took it to the chest and said, let's go again. And that moment right there, that's where champions are born. Not when it's easy, not when the path is smooth, but when the world is screaming for you to stop and you still take the next step anyway. You didn't come here to break, you came here to bend, bruise, bleed, and build back stronger. The truth is, pain reveals what comfort hides. It shows you what you care about, what you're willing to fight for, what you're willing to become when everything soft is stripped away. And what's left behind is not weak. What's left behind is unbreakable. Your wounds, they're not shameful. They're sacred. They are evidence that you showed up, that you didn't quit, that you chose to fight through what most run from. And yes, it hurts. Yes, it's dark sometimes. But inside that darkness you found your fire, and now it burns brighter than any excuse. You don't need comfort. You need clarity. And pain gives you that. Pain strips away the noise and shows you what matters. Pain introduces you to your power in a way that no smooth road ever could. And the best part, you survived. You outlasted what was designed to bury you. You smiled through the storm, and now you stand in the ashes of what tried to end you, holding the piece of a new beginning in your hands. And that version of you, that relentless, bruised, unbroken version, that's the real you, and the world better be ready. Because this is just the beginning. Don't fear pain. Think, because every time it knocked you down, it also whispered, you're still here. Now get up. It all looks messy at first, like a storm with no pattern, like a battlefield with no rules, like your life is unraveling, when in truth, it's finally being rebuilt the right way. Chaos isn't confusion, it's creation in disguise. It's the moment your old self crumbles so your real self can stand up, bruised, breathing hard, but finally unchained. You've walked into that storm alone, terrified, uncertain, and the world told you, turn back, but something inside you whispered, keep going, and you did. And now, you're not afraid of chaos anymore, you're working with it, shaping it, dancing through the mess, because deep down you know the truth. This is not where you end, this is where you begin. Clarity isn't born in silence, it's born in noise, in the grind, in the sleepless nights where nothing makes sense except that you refuse to quit. The chaos is loud, but so are you now. And every time life tries to knock you sideways, you stand up a little stronger, a little faster, a little less willing to be moved. You're not breaking down, you're breaking through. You're pulling meaning out of madness, turning wreckage into weapons, not to hurt, but to build. Because every time your life fell apart, it wasn't falling, it was shifting. The pieces were never lost. They were just rearranging to make room for the person you're becoming. The world wants neatness, predictability, clean lines, but greatness is jagged. It's bloody. It's chaotic. And you've learned to breathe in it, to move through it, to stand in the center of the storm and say, this is where I was born. Because clarity is not about control. It's about knowing who you are when the world stops making sense. And you've looked in that mirror shaking, doubting, surrounded by noise, and you still chose to rise. That's power. That's purpose. That's clarity. You are not lost in the mess. You're being carved by it. And the more chaos you embrace, the sharper you become. Not scattered, but focused. Not broken, but reborn. Don't run from the storm. Become the storm. And watch how the noise clears for the one who owns it. This chaos isn't ruining you, it's revealing you. And that version, that solid, fire-tested, chaos-forged version, that's who the world needs. So step deeper into it, louder, prouder, because in that chaos, you found what no comfort could ever give you. A reason to fight, and a self that doesn't break. They don't have to get it. And honestly, they never will, because your vision wasn't built in their eyes. Your fire wasn't sparked by their comfort. Your path wasn't meant to be explained. It was meant to be walked. Let them doubt. Let them whisper. Let them label you too much, too intense, too focused, because every label they throw is just a signpost saying, I don't understand your hunger. And that's fine. You weren't made to be understood. You were made to be unstoppable. Every time they stare in confusion, every time they step back from your energy like it's too hot to hold, that's not rejection, that's recognition. That's the moment they realize you're something different, something they can't predict, can't tame, can't pause. You're not living for applause, you're living for impact, for legacy, for the deep burning roar inside you that says, I have something to prove. But only to myself. You don't need permission to burn brighter. You don't acceptance to move louder. Your power doesn't come from the outside. It comes from every scar you wear like armor, from every tear you swallowed instead of quitting, from every moment you whispered. They'll see one day, and maybe they won't. Maybe they never will, and that's okay. Because the dream doesn't change just because the crowd doesn't cheer. You were never here to fit in. You were here to fracture the mold, to walk in like thunder and shake everything that ever tried to silence you, so let them fear it. Your discipline, your silence, your focus, your rise, it should scare them, because most people are terrified of anything they can't label, mock, or minimize. And you don't shrink enough to be boxed in. You don't slow down enough to be studied. And that makes you unforgettable. They don't understand why you train when no one's watching, why you keep showing up with no praise, why you build in the shadows without needing the stage. But that's what makes you powerful. They'll never see you coming. You're not loud for attention. You're loud in results. Loud in movement, loud in what you create, build, become. And that noise, it shakes their comfort, not because you're trying to, but because that's what greatness does by default. So let them be confused, let them doubt you. Just don't ever doubt yourself. Keep your fire close, your vision clear, and your soul unshakable. Because the ones who fear you today are the same ones who one day say, I knew them before they blew up. And you'll smile, not in spite, but in peace. Because you never needed them to understand. You just needed to become. Dreaming is easy. Everyone does it. People lay in bed at night with their hearts on fire and say, one day, they picture a life where they're unstoppable, powerful, fulfilled, and then they wake up, shake it off, and walk straight back into their cage. But you're not like them. You're not just a dreamer, you're a detonator. You're the one who decided that a dream wasn't enough. You wanted results, real sweat, Real fire, real proof that you were alive and not just imagining your potential. You saw the vision, and instead of locking it in your head like a daydream, you lit the fuse and made it explode into action. That's what separates you. And not your ideas, but your ignition. Your refusal to sit still when your soul was screaming for motion. You didn't just wish you worked. You didn't just hope you built. And every step forward you've taken, that's dynamite to everything that tried to hold you down. You are not here to manifest passively. You are here to grind ruthlessly, to rise with cracked knuckles and wild eyes, and say, I will not die with this dream inside me. Because the truth is, dreams rot when ignored. They become regrets. They become whispers that haunt you in quiet rooms when the lights go off and the fake smiles fall away. But you faced that voice and answered it with movement. You chose discomfort over delay. You chose pressure over pretending. And every single time you acted on your vision, you planted the kind of seeds that don't bloom with sunlight alone. They bloom with chaos, with effort, with intensity that most people are too afraid to carry. Your dream isn't cute. It's not a soft wish floating in the air. It's a bomb in your chest counting down, ticking louder every second you don't act. And you've heard that ticking, haven't you, late at night, when your thoughts start spinning, in quiet moments when something inside you whispers, there's more, there's more, go get it. And now you've stopped waiting for the world to give you permission. You've become the spark, the one who walks into fear, into failure, into fire. Not because it's easy, but because it's where legends are made. You've learned that detonation is messy. Things will break. People will leave. Illusions of yourself will scream to be saved. But you don't flinch. You don't rescue the weaker you. You replace it. You crush every what if with watch me. You rip through hesitation like it owes you something. And now when people see you coming, they feel that pressure, that edge, that explosion of energy that says this one's serious, this one's dangerous, this one isn't playing anymore. And that's what makes you unstoppable. You're not a flame. They can smother that. You're a blast. And when you go off, you change everything around you. This world doesn't need another silent believer. It needs you. Loud, fierce, unapologetic, activated. So dream, yes, but don't you dare stop there. Light it up, ignite it. Destroy the barriers between who you are and who you were born to be. Let your effort shake the ground. Let your consistency scare the ones still waiting for the right time. And let your dream become the detonation point for a life so real, so powerful, so intentional that mediocrity has to run when it hears your name. You're not a dreamer anymore. You're the one who detonates reality and rebuilds it in your image. Keep going because your explosion has only just begun. They say you're too much, too loud, too intense, too focused, too driven. And they say it like it's an insult. Like being too much is some kind of character flaw that you should fix just to keep them comfortable. But hear this now, you are not too much. They are just too small to carry the weight of your fire. You weren't made to tiptoe through life, whispering your dreams. You were made to stomp with thunder in your step and lightning in your lungs. You were made to own space, not apologize for taking it. They want you to shrink so they can feel taller, to dull your glow so they don't have to feel their own shadows. But you weren't born to bend. You were born to break ceilings. You have too much purpose to play small, too much passion to sit quiet, too much power to be polite about your greatness. And when you walk into a room, the energy shifts. Not because you try to be, but because that's what happens when a soul on fire shows up, with no fear left to hide behind. The truth is, people get intimidated by what they don't understand. They see your momentum and mistake it for madness. They see your vision and call it unrealistic. They see your intensity and label it as arrogance. But deep down they know. They know you're playing the game on a level they never had the guts to reach. And that scares them. But here's the thing, you're not here to be easy to digest. You're here to be unforgettable. You're here to shake the core of every room you walk into, not to fit inside the boxes that were never built for you. So let them talk. Let them flinch when you speak your truth out loud. Let them scoff when your work ethic makes them feel exposed. Because the problem isn't that you're too much. It's that you stopped living less just to make other people feel more. You've burned too many bridges to go back, sacrificed too much silence to stay quiet, and outgrown too many limits to ever pretend you're average again. Your energy is not a mistake. Your passion is not a burden. Your fire is not something you need to hide or hold back, or explain to people who don't even have the tools to understand your purpose. Some people were born to follow maps. You were born to redraw them. So when they say you're too intense, say thank you. When they call you obsessed, nod and grind harder. When they say you've changed, smile and say, that was the point. You didn't work this hard to become digestible. You worked this hard to become undeniable. This world doesn't need another watered-down soul blending into the background. It needs people like you, bold, wild, fearless, overflowing with purpose and too full of destiny to pretend you were ever meant to be small. Keep being too much, because in a world addicted to average, your fire is exactly what it needs to wake up. So hear that you're still standing, still breathing, still burning with purpose, and that means it's not over. Not even close. Whatever tried to break you, didn't win. Whatever tried to bury you, forgot you were a seed. Let them doubt. Let them whisper. Your rise isn't for them, it's for you. For the fire inside you that refuses to die. For the version of you that refuses to shrink ever again. Keep moving. Keep building. Keep becoming what they said was impossible. Because you're not done yet. You're just getting dangerous.